What's up, everybody? It's Alex from Heavy New York. We are back at the Kingsland in Brooklyn today, and today we are here with Sal of A Pale Horse Named Death.
Hello. Thank you for having me.
Thank you for your time, Sal.
Thank you.
It's great to have you here. You guys are officially working on the third A Pale Horse Named Death
We
record.
delivered. We're not working on it anymore.
Yeah.
We delivered about 2 weeks ago. We are excited. We mastered with Maor Applebaum, and we delivered it to the label, and the label came back to us pretty much floored. They say this third album is the heaviest, most diverse record we've ever done. It is an excellent result from the last two records. It's even better, and it's diverse. They're ecstatic about it. They can't wait to get it out. We can't wait. Everybody's been waiting 5 years. It's about time.
Yeah.
In life, we have distractions. We had other obligations we were doing. So we're all excited that we worked really hard this year. We started at the beginning of the year. Work, record, go over everything. You know, just the amount of work that goes into it is insane. And to finally just go, okay, we're done. Here's the artwork. Here's the record. Have at it. I'm done. I'm punching out. I'm going to go, take it easy for a minute. And so we're excited. I'm really excited because, in this day and age, you never know when it's the last time.
Yeah.
And you never know when you're going to drop dead. So I'm really happy to get this record out because I definitely did not want to end on, the last thing I did. I didn't want to leave, A Pale Horse Named Death, which was my baby, hanging in the universe and fans wondering, when is this guy going to put out a record? He's nuts.
Yeah.
When is he going to do something? We love the two records he did. Why isn't he doing another record? Why is he caught up in these other bands? So I'm really glad that I was getting over the years a lot of messages from fans and emails saying, what are you doing? What's going on? When are you going to come out with a record? So I really felt obligated as well to the fans and the universe to do this, to do right by them and by me.
Being that it was 5 years since Lay My Soul to Waste came out, was this your new record meant to be like a fresh start, or was it just kind of like a direct
it's a
follow-up?
continuation of the doom and gloom that we are. There is no it's not like the band we didn't reinvent ourselves and have a different sound, and no, we're as depressing and as doom and gloom as we ever been. In fact, this record is like a horror soundtrack. It has. We have soundscapes and stuff going on between the songs, intermissions. There's 13 tracks, and it's the longest record we ever did. It's 63 minutes.
Wow.
It's 63 minutes, and the other two records were more like 55, around there. This is 63 minutes. We're definitely giving the fans and the world a bang for their buck, and it's a very in-depth, involved record where it's basically like a Floyd record. You gotta start from the beginning, and you gotta listen to it to the end. It's conceptual. It's it's gonna definitely take people on a journey that is gonna be through some dark caverns and tunnels and things.
Being that this record is very concept driven, was this a preconceived idea that you had making the record, or did maybe this concept?
The title of the record has been there for 5 years.
Wow.
This stuff's been sitting, waiting. A lot of it's been sitting, waiting to be recorded. There were songs that I had written 4 years ago, 2 years ago, and then this year I finalized the rest of the writing and then the lyrics and everything. So it's not like we woke up and said, we're going to do a record. We got to get it out this year. And we got to hurry up, man. And we're going to rush and put out a piece of shit for the sake of putting it out. No, this record was thought out for many, many years, and it was sitting on my hard drive for a long time. A lot of the roots, the skeletons were there. Final arrangement, lyrics and melodies all happened then in the end, but there was a lot of stuff that was in place ready to just go.
Wow.
Yeah.
It's great that it had a bridge. It sounds like the record did come together very organically, but you still had control of everything. So
Everything.
it's usually either completely one way or the other, from what I've experienced.
No, this is a perfect. Fans are gonna pick up the record and they're gonna hear it and they're gonna be like, "Wow, it sounds like this record would have came out the year after." There's no break in the sound. the textures, the pain, the aggression, the darkness. It's just a perfect steady uphill from the first record. So we didn't do anything crazy. We didn't change our style, or it is what it is. It's APHND all the way through and through.
Which means a pale horse named Death.
Yeah.
For anybody who
That's the acronym.
Yeah. But what I was really curious about with a pale horse named Death, because the first time I've heard you guys, it was actually recommended to me on iTunes when I was looking up another. I think I was listening to Tantric and that record. And As Black As My Heart was the first song I heard. And I had like no idea on the background of the band or anything like that. But then, doing a little research on Wikipedia and stuff, obviously, Johnny coming from Typo Negative and Seventh Void, you coming from Typo and Life of Agony. What I was curious is, with the background of all the different projects, obviously you're singing in this project and you're not playing drums, but with all the background of all the different members that came into A Pale Horse Named Death with all your projects that I would think sound fairly different, did you guys want to make like maybe a dichotomy of what you learned from your previous projects and kind of blend it all together in this one? Or did you form A Pale Horse Named Death kind of like forgetting about everything that came before?
No, I learned a lot from my early years of working with Peter. He was a huge mentor musically to me. And the best thing I could have ever done in my musical career was work with a guy like that. I mean, he made me a better drummer, better musician. I learned guitar because of that guy. Started picking up all that stuff in like the early 90s. And I take a lot of what I learned from being in a room and watching how he worked and how Josh Silver worked in the studio. I took a lot of that just got absorbed into my head, and then all my influences of like the Beatles and Black Sabbath and Hendrix and just a lot of the classic rock sounds and tones. I always set out to write music that I like, and the music I like has all those influences in it. I never tried to be. I think it's a big mistake when band and musicians say, well, they get contrived. Well, we have to write a hit, or we have to sound like Tool, or we got to sound like this on purpose. When you do it on purpose, it then sounds contrived and just full of shit. I think it's important to write what you're genuinely influenced by, and let it speak from your heart, and not be so put together.
Yeah.
Forced. We gotta write a Barry Manilow hit, and it's gotta go like this. It has to be natural and from your influences.
Yeah, I feel like if you have too much of a preconceived idea and saying it has to be this,
it sounds like crap,
and you're just gonna end up disappointed one way or another.
Most important thing on the planet is the melody and the root notes that make the song touch a person in the heart.
Of course.
And I think preconceived ideas don't go well.
Yeah.
When you force, I always was a true believer in not forcing music. Don't force a song when you're writing it. When you force a song and say, "What do you think, guys?" It doesn't come out good.
No, absolutely not.
It's got to come from, and you have to have the gift. There's a lot of great musicians out there that can play technically great, but they don't have the gift of orchestrating and hearing the music before they even pick up the instrument. And you really need to be able to envision, like it's a painting or a movie or a poem. You have to see it first before you put it down. That's how you know what you're doing. You need to have this vision, all right, I hear all of this coming like this together, orchestrated, and it needs to be already like. A lot of times I'll have a whole music just in my head that's already ready to go. Not every part, but the main root part that stimulates the over melodies, the orchestration, So it's real important to wear your heart on your sleeve when you write songs, and write the truth and write about things that really mean something to you, not write bubblegum garbage that, jumping up and down and stuff.
Exactly. Now, being that you were a drummer for so many years, and now, as I was calling you before, the New York Dave Grohl kind of how you.
I think that's the greatest compliment in the world. That guy's amazing.
He definitely is.
I wish I could hang out with him for a day and pick his brain.
Let's make it happen.
Yeah.
But Foo Fighters don't fool us like Ghost did.
Yeah.
But being that you were a drummer in your previous bands and now you're being the main frontman, I mean, obviously it's a different process because, it's a completely separate instrument, but
Yeah.
is there maybe a similar creative energy that you channel?
Yeah, it's the same. The way I would write drums is the way I write music. I feel it, I hear it before I even touch it, and then boom. I think being a drummer is a huge advantage to writing music because drums is based on math. Math is the core of arrangement, signature, patterns. It is very important to know your timing signature and what you're doing, because if you don't, look, you can take 3 notes and you can make a dozen different melodies with those 3 notes. It's all about where you mathematically place those notes in that bar of 4/4, 3/4, 7/8, whatever it is, and that changes the melody. And so from 3 notes you can write a dozen songs. It's how you place it mathematically and timing wise. So I think being a drummer and being the kind of drummer I was, the way I grew up and learned and was taught, comes and plays a huge advantage to writing musical riffs and parts, because the timing signature is what's going to make people gravitate to it and bop their head to it and tap their foot to it. And again, drums is the most primal instrument ever.
If your drummer sucks, your band
in the
sucks.
history of man. So number one, if your drummer sucks,
Your band sucks.
Doesn't matter if you have Randy Rhoads in the band, not gonna do good. If you don't have an understanding of these primal rudiments and signatures, you're missing out, because it's really as simple as that. We evolved from tribal drums in tribes, and drums and are extremely, the signature of drums is very important. And I think it plays a huge advantage. Some guys are writers that play guitar but don't have a clue about drums. So they have a harder time maybe. Or I think for me, it's an advantage. Because being a multi-instrumentalist, because I can pick up bass, guitar, I can dabble on piano, I could play drums. I think all these things then work cohesively as a songwriter. And if you're a songwriter, it really helps you write good songs.
Definitely. And I'd imagine, because as we talked about, drums, in the end, it doesn't matter what band you're in or what kind of gear you use. And the drums, it's always about keeping rhythm and keeping beat, keeping
That's
the song
solid
together.
beat.
And you switching from drums to guitar and vocals, it, first of all, it's tremendous that, that you even have both skills to do it. But you already, when you're writing a chord progression or writing lyrics, you could probably have the rhythm in your head.
I already hear the beat.
Yeah. And
I already hear the beat that's going to happen. And that's how I write the part, and that's how I'll already know how it's already sounding before it's even done on tape or whatever, hard drive, whatever you want to call it now. So it's all very important, very good to know. So guys out there, that songwriters, try to learn as much as possible about drums and timing signature, because you'll see how it will make your music that much better.
Yeah.
With placing your notes.
And being technically good, like if you could play a Randy Rhoads solo front to back, that's great. But skill-wise, songwriting is a completely different talent.
I ain't no fancy pants guitars. I don't do these I don't play guitar solos. I have 2 guys that do that. I'm more of a rhythm guy, more of a noise guy, and a chugging accent type of stuff. I think it's not about how well you noodle. It's about the vision and how good, and your ear, developing your ear and keying into whatever songs you hear on the radio, always testing yourself and practicing and singing along, or analyzing music and tearing it apart and hearing how that artist put it together and how they orchestrated it will only teach you how to do the same approach with your music. I think you have to have the gift. It comes from in here. You could be the greatest guitar solo person or musician. You can have a degree from Berkeley. Doesn't mean you can write a song. It doesn't mean you can. It doesn't mean, ain't gonna guarantee you a hit. You just know a lot of knowledge and technicality. But if you don't have the gift of being able to put a song together, Well, all those studies are just good for what it is. You're a session guy,
Yeah.
or you're a cover guy.
Yeah, I
You're
know.
not a writer.
Yeah, and I know plenty of phenomenal songwriters. You put sheet music in front of those guys, it's like the equivalent of reading another language. They just don't get it. So
Yeah,
it works both ways.
Yeah, exactly. A lot of songwriters that write great music don't read music.
Yep.
Don't read sheet music.
Yeah.
I can only read drum music, sheet music, at a slow pace. You know, I can't sight read and play, but for all other music written on, I'm all self-taught. I just go. These are my guides right here.
And those are the best teachers you could have
Yeah.
because and rule number one, mouth shut, eyes and ears open.
Exactly.
Yeah. And one final question I'd like to ask you is being from somebody who started in New York City, you know, I feel like, you know, with you and Johnny and everybody in APHND was saying that you started in what I think is one of the most important movements of the East Coast. You started in like the New York City hardcore movement and stuff. But with all the bands that you were in and all the bands that Johnny was in, even like in his time with Silvertune, like everybody's like New York City hardcore, but like I hear hardcore, I think of Agnostic Front or Sick of It All. I was just curious to how maybe like you guys kind of got looped into that hardcore category.
I don't know. I don't consider myself hardcore. I think it started when at that time Typo Negative was called Repulsion, and when we first got together, you know, we kind of picked up the pieces from where Carnivore left off, and Carnivore was a thrashcore associated with a lot of those bands.
Okay.
So now we were playing shows at Repulsion shows, playing Carnivore songs. We used to do songs from the first couple of records. I remember in early Typo days, Repulsion days, we were playing, you know, Predator, Race War, Jesus Hitler, you know, all those songs that were considered, they'd attracted the hardcore audience. And, you know, because Carnivore in those early days, they were playing hardcore matinees with Agnostic Front, Crumbsuckers, Whiplash, all these, you know, great bands at the time. And I think maybe that's how we kind of got looped into it a little bit. And then it was, then I did drums for Life of Agony, and that band was looped into like hardcore stuff, which I never considered it hardcore. Yeah. So, you know, I this is a brand that's kind of stuck, but honestly, I don't consider myself hardcore. I never did. I never walked around with Doc Martens on and suspenders and with a shaved head. I think it's cool genre. I like a lot. I know a lot of people in that genre. I know a lot of bands in that genre, and my hat's off to them. Awesome. But me personally, I'm more of a rock and roll, heavy metal. I mean, my first band I fell in love with was Black Sabbath and Ozzy Osbourne, and
I see more influence from that in all the bands that you were in.
Yeah, and Beatles, you know. So I mean, Lord knows. I mean, Type O is the culmination of Beatles and Sabbath. That's what you get. You get Type O if they make a baby.
Yeah.
So I was a huge fan of always the bends, the down tune, the grinding tones of Black Sabbath. So it was a natural thing for me to want to stay in that realm. I personally, enjoyed the music that was going on back in those days with Typo Negative. Peter, he always was like a super Sabbath, Beatles riff master, and I always liked playing that stuff, and that's where I always felt at home. I never really was at home doing this, I don't know, trying to worry about mosh pits and things like that, man.
Yeah.
But it's all cool, you know. They want to mosh, they want to dance to it. Awesome, you know.
Well, you know, because even like I've seen Agnostic Front shows and people were wearing a Pale Horse Named Death shirts there too, and I was just like, all right, I'm just trying to think. And everything you've done, whether it been Origin of Feces, River Runs Red, Lay My Soul to Waste, everything you've done, like it's all phenomenal. But like hardcore, like.
Hey, whatever. I'll take it.
Yeah, who knows? Everything is hardcore in New York City.
Everything's hardcore now.
Yeah, and it's alive and breathing. So before we go, I want to thank you so much for your time.
Thank you so much.
You know, you have your new record out. You're doing a couple runs right now. What could we be expecting
from
the
shows? We're going to Europe in March. There's a lot of talks about some other stuff in the spring, as always. Talks about maybe in Europe, you know, stuff going on. But right now, the confirmed thing is we go to Europe in March, touring like for 3 weeks over there, and our record, even though the label did not announce, I think in November they're going to announce the date and everything, but I think the record's coming out mid-January 2019, so we start the new year at the top. We decided not to release the record at the end of the 2018 because it's kind of like, boom, the year's over and the album goes with it. You know what I mean?
And like everybody already has their top 20.
Right. I want to come out at 2019 January, so I'm in the running for all the top records of the year. And
do we have a
like
title?
I do. I don't know if it's okay to say it yet, though.
You know what? And I don't want to get crap from the label or the PR.
Yeah,
so.
yeah. I don't even think John, our publicist, knows. The label, they said they're right now. They, like I said, they just got the record handed to them, so now they're doing their thing with the planning. They said they hear 3 singles on the record. They're going to release one every month from November through January, which I think is phenomenal for a heavy band like us. And that's really it. And I like I say is stay tuned. Follow us on Facebook, Instagram, Twitter, and as we get the news, we will put it out there as fast as we can. And just stay tuned. The title is we're very close though. I know they plan on releasing a song in November, so we're only a month away from folks getting to hear their first new A Pale Horse Named Death song in 5 years. So
Awesome. We don't have to wait that long.
no,
anymore.
it's not that bad. And then December, they think it'll be another one, and January will be a third one.
Awesome.
So, radio and all that stuff. So, yeah.
Awesome.
Just be patient. You lasted 5 years, you can last another month.
Yeah, and you're hearing that from a New Yorker too.
Yeah.
So if a New Yorker's telling you to be patient, you can do it.
Yeah, I know. I should practice what I preach, though.
Yeah.
Ask my wife.
But
Ask my wife how patient I am.
that's the best line to end this interview.
Oh, yeah.
Yeah, but thank you so much, Sal.
Thank you,
Everybody,
Alex.
Sal of A Pale Horse Named Death. Be on the
Bye.
lookout for everything new they got coming out. This is Alex from Heavy New York. We'll see you next time.
Awesome.